Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us today. I'm Kim Spikes, co-chair of the Post-New York Alliance's Sustainability Committee with Craig Pinner. We have been looking forward to hosting an e-waste event for some time, and we feel this is an area of our industry that has a lot of room for improvement. So we are incredibly excited to have two amazing, inspiring women with us today who can share both the collection of e-waste and its potential future use. So I'd like to first introduce Craig Pinner, my co-chair, and thank him for all the work he's put into this committee. So Craig, you can take it from here.
Thank you, Kim, for that lovely introduction. Hi, everybody. My name is Craig Penner. I am a co-chairperson of the Post-New York Alliance Sustainability Committee with Kim. And yeah, this is really amazing. We've wanted to host a panel on e-waste for a really long time, and my experience with e-waste comes from the work that I've done here at the studio that I work at in Tribeca. And over the years, we've just found that in post-production, we just accumulate so much electronics recycling. And for so long, didn't know what to do with it, where it was supposed to go. And it just piled up in the basement of our studio. And, it kind of led to, because of it accumulating and taking up so much space, it kind of just led to us needing to find out a little bit more about it. And with that, I began kind of my journey into educating myself, and Kim also came along for the ride, learning more about electronics recycling and getting in touch with organizations like the Department of Sanitation and the Lower East Side Ecology Center. With us tonight, we have Diana Galka from the Department of Sanitation of New York. She's the coordinator of apartment programs in the Bureau of Recycling and Sustainability. And from the Lower East Side Ecology Center, we have Nicole Swent. She's an e-waste educator and veteran reuse technician from the e-waste warehouse. Our program is going to work in two sections. Diana's going to speak first and have a PowerPoint presentation. And then Nicole will go after and speak a little bit about what she does as well. After that, we're going to have a Q&A where I'll start off reading some broad questions that I have for both of our panelists, and then we'll open up for audience participation. So if you have any questions for either of our panelists, feel free to put them in the chat, or if you come up with anything during the Q&A in the audience participation time, feel free to raise your hand from under the reactions tab on Zoom, and I can call on you and you can ask the questions yourself. So without further ado, I'm going to pass the mic over to Diana, and I'm really excited to hear what she has for us. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. My name is Diana. I'm a recycling coordinator for apartment programs, and we deal directly with collection of e-waste in New York City. We also deal with textile reuse as well, but today we will focus directly on e-waste recycling program. I will share my screen right now to talk about, and I will show you my PowerPoint for the presentation. Let me know if you see it. You guys see it? Yeah, you see it? Okay, great. Okay. So Department of Sanitation offers several ways for you to recycle your electronics. Just a few words about recycling in general. Recycling in the United States is very regional. It really depends on your city and state laws. So if you work in another state, or let's say you have some sort of shoot, or you work in a different state, even temporarily, you will have to check with them, because our laws depend on Department of Environmental Conservation that has to deal with electronics and have introduced the New York State ban here. All right. So Department of Sanitation offers our services mostly to residents of New York City, right? If you are a business with over 50 employees, we will not pick up usual garbage or recycling from you, and you will also not be able to participate in our programs. I just wanted to put it out there. So our programs are for residents, for business and nonprofits, and also for mayoral city agencies. What is electronic waste? Just because it plugs in, it doesn't mean that it is covered by the ban. Many of the items that we see, that people try to recycle through the e-cycle program or any other electronics programs are actually just recycling. So let's say your microwave or your toaster oven or your coffee maker, vacuum cleaners we see a lot, fans, those are not electronics to us. We do not consider them electronics just because they plugged in. There's a very specific list of items that as a New York State we consider to be electronics, and I'll show it to you in a minute. But the majority of items, if you have any kitchen appliances, they can just go in your recycling because they're mostly just metal and plastic. So electronic waste for us in our definition is items that were banned by New York State as of January 1st, 2015. Consumers can no longer dispose New York State covered electronic equipment in landfills, waste to energy facilities, which is also another word for incinerators, in the trash or at curbside, right? So, and I'll talk about curbside a little bit later. It is one of the extended responsibility acts, right? So it's being paid by people who produce the electronics, not people, companies, I'm sorry. So in New York State, this is the list of items that are banned, right? So it's monitors, computers, laptops, their accessories. So you'll have mice and computer, and keyboards and fax machines and hard drives, just this list. E-readers and tablets and cell phones count too. I know in your line of work, you probably have other items like cameras and stuff like that. For us, that is not electronics that is banned by New York State. Only these items are. And I'm going to show you a little more detailed list for that. So it's e-readers as well, different kind of laptops, tablets, thin clients, virtual realities, headsets, workstations, all different kinds of printers and keyboards, and small electronic equipment, which is cable satellite receivers, digital converter boxes, DVRs, DVDs, portable music players, and so on. These items are considered electronics for us, and these are the only items that we will collect through our programs. So if we see any other items, we quite frequently see like a random microwave or something like that in our boxes or in our e-cycle collection, we will not take them. If you have any questions about specific items, how to recycle them, let's say ACs, you're welcome to ask me later what to do with them. But for right now, electronics is just this. Why is recycling e-waste important? So many reasons. Recycling is important to begin with, but e-waste specifically is dangerous because it has a lot of toxic metals. So it has lead, mercury, cadmium, and chromium. It also has very precious metals like copper and gold. And those items we want to recover, and we want to dispose of properly of the items that are very toxic, like lead, cadmium, mercury. We don't want that to end up in a landfill. So they have to be recycled in a specific facility for that. And we want to reuse resources, right? We want to take that copper and that gold and plastic, also in glass, and make it into something else so that we don't have to, mine for more things, extract more resources. This is a very interesting study the Department of Sanitation does about every 5 years. It is residential waste study. So what we do is we go into buildings, not just random buildings, but buildings that, we agree with, that we can go in, and we take their black bags and we open them and see what's inside. You will see that a majority of that is recyclable, either through curbside recyclable program or organic suitable for composting. And if you pay attention to e-waste, it's 0.3% of our residential waste. Technically, percentage-wise, it's very small, but because they have such high level of very toxic materials, it is actually really great that we are able to divert most of it from the landfills. So this is a comparison, right? In 2013 waste characterization study, before the ban came into the effect, 1% of everything New Yorkers threw out. And 1% for New Yorkers is a lot. We produce a lot of garbage, was e-waste. And right now in 2017, it's 0.3. So we really reduced the number of electronics that go into trash. So things you can do, programs you can participate in. These are all free because they are provided by the Department of Sanitation for residents, right? So there's free e-waste recycling service available to residential apartment buildings if over 10 units. So if your building is over 10 units, you can apply for this program. It shouldn't be you. You should contact your super or your management, or if you have a co-op board, you can advocate. It's a free program. All we need is space where you could keep electronics. If your building is over 100 units, you get that bin that you see on the picture. When the bin is full, our electronic recycler comes in and swaps the bin, gives you an empty one and takes that full bin away. Or if you have a less than 100 unit building, you can find space in your building, or let's say a closet somewhere where you can keep electronics until you have minimum amount of items. You call for pickup. Our subcontractor ERI comes and gets it. Our partner, they come and get it, and they, leave your closet empty, unless there are items that are not electronics, which will probably end up there. But they'll take everything that we consider electronics that was on that list. And that's it. It's pretty easy. Absolutely free, no money exchanges hands. We don't need to pay anything for the program. So collection coordinated by DSNY and our partner ERI, who actually does the pickup and recycling. For curbside e-waste, we have an option for people who live on Staten Island to get curbside pickup for units that are less than 10 apartments. So you just have to fill out an e-waste pickup request form on our website, or you can call 311, and then they'll tell you when to put it out. You put it out on the curb, and the truck will pick it up from you. They will also have e-waste special, not just e-waste, but regular special waste drop-off sites, and you can bring your e-waste there. There's one site per borough. You can find addresses on our website, and you can go on that link and see it as well. They're open every Saturday and last Friday of the month, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So you can, if you have a TV you've had for several years and you don't want to wait, until you have minimum amount, or you are less than 10 units, this is something you can do as well. Or you also have other type of hazardous waste or special waste, not necessarily hazardous, but let's say you have tires or something, you can also bring it there at the same time. So you don't have to bring it to other places. There's also safe disposal events. We have them twice a year in each borough. Right now it's a safe season. You can still register for an event that's going to happen in Manhattan on June 5th. And there'll be more events in fall. We collect e-waste and other household hazardous materials too. So solvents, automotives can go there as well. So if you happen to have a TV and other materials, you can bring them to safe events. And yeah, what happens to your e-waste collected from DSNY? All e-waste program from DSNY programs are collected by our partner, ERI. It is the largest private recycler in the USA. It is R2 and e-Steward certified, and they recycle all the e-waste using the strictest industry and environmental standards available. And all of the e-waste is recycled domestically at a consolidation facility in New Jersey and processing plant in Massachusetts. So it's on the East Coast. Right. So for businesses, guidelines for e-waste disposal, right? For businesses and nonprofits, small businesses, which is less than 50 employees, that's what we consider a small business. They're eligible for free e-waste recycling provided by manufacturers. You can see the list. of New York State Department of Environmental Conservation on their website. You can see list of their registered electronic equipment manufacturers that are supposed to pick up your recycling or your e-waste if you're a small business or nonprofit. Large businesses have to have their own contact with certified e-waste provider, e-waste recycler. And you can see another list of registered recyclers on the same website. The same for mayoral city agencies. We have a special handling contract, and we are required to contract with a private vendor for proper and safe disposal and recycling for all hazardous waste, including e-waste as well. If you do not, for some reason, you do not want to participate in, or you do not have an opportunity to participate in any of the programs, there are other options. There are take-back programs. You can contact your products manufacturer to see if they have any sort of take-back or mail-back program. They might work with an independent third-party recycler. They may repair them and resell them. They might have different programs available. When you choose a recycler, look for eStewards or R2 certification to help ensure that the electronics are recycled responsibly. Again, they have a lot of hazardous materials. We want to make sure none of it ends up in a landfill. And again, there's a list of registered recyclers right there. There's also electronics drop-off map at nyc.gov/electronics that we have on our website. You're welcome to check it out. Some big stores that sell electronics would also be able to take them back. Donate. We have an arm here in a department called Donate NYC. You're welcome, if you have a business, you're welcome to register in their directory and donate items. And people who you can also see if you need anything and get something used from them. In some ways, an exchange works a bit like any sort of list, like Craigslist or something like that, where you say, well, I have 15 pans, or I have a camera, or I have something like this, or I have a microphone. It still works, but I don't need it anymore if anybody needs it. And then people will contact you and let you know. And you can also register your organization as well if you have a steady stream, of electronics or something you'd like to donate. Yeah, so just remember that reuse and donation is always better. We are recycling specialists here, but it is significantly less. It takes significantly less resources if we just donate and reuse items that we've already made than try to recycle them. Yeah, so if you have an opportunity to gift, donate, resell, other than recycle, please use it. But if you have to recycle it, you have all these options through the Department of Sanitation. Yeah, and I guess questions is gonna come after Nicole, right? In 15 more minutes. Sorry, I went over time, so sorry. Yep, that's.
No need to say sorry. That was fantastic, Diana. I really, really appreciate it. Extremely informative. Thank you so much for your time. We will now move on to Nicole Swent from the Lower East Side Ecology Center. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. So I am a senior technician at the Lower East Side Ecology Center. We have been we pioneer community-based models in urban sustainability, and since 1987, we provide unique e-waste and composting services, environmental stewardships opportunities, and educational programs to all New Yorkers who want to learn more about environmental issues or take responsible actions towards creating a solution to the ongoing problems we have with e-waste. So at our e-waste events, we have pop-up events throughout New York City. They're not limited to where we are. We go different places every weekend. We normally have a pause for the summer because it's just too hot. but we take e-waste from all residents, small businesses. If it's a large business, you would email us and provide about how much you have. So we have to make sure we have space for it. We do not provide pickup. It's drop off only. But once it's dropped off, we're able to sort it and provide different services for example, our reuse program, where it allows us to actually test items, sanitize drives, and donate to other nonprofit organizations, schools, senior centers, and other areas which don't have the funds to actually buy new devices or keyboards and mice. We provide artists in residence programs where local artists will come in and they would create works of art from e-waste or different items. That it could be visual or it could be sound, any type of artistic works of art that they can create. We also provide different programs like workshops where we would take apart a printer, maybe teach individuals how motors work and how they could actually reuse this motor to make a fan or something simple that is being reused or repurposed in a different way than it was intended. We also have students that come that are working on their senior projects and need supplies, or they don't know where to go about creating something for their final project. And we're kind of guide them through what exactly they would need. And if we can actually provide the parts for them to finish off their schooling, then we would provide the parts to them, as long as it doesn't have anyone's data on it and it's properly sanitized, then we go from there. Our programs are actually, it used to be based at our warehouse, but we no longer have that facility and is working on accruing another location where we can provide the workshops again. But we still have pop-up events throughout New York City. Another way our recyclers are actually R2 certified, so they're able to provide service on their side as far as dismantling all the devices that go in, recycling the plastics and the glass and etc. Reusing the resistors off the board to create something other than it was intended for, and it just keeps going on from there. And you can reach us at lesecologycenter.org for all other information on where our events will be in the coming future. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Nicole. Really, really appreciate it.
You're
All right,
welcome.
everybody. We're going to move on to Q&A now. I have a couple of broad questions for both of our panelists, but feel free to jot any questions that you have in the chat if you'd like me to ask them, or you can raise your hand during the audience participation and you can ask them yourselves. So the first question that I have for both of our panelists, and we can go, Diana, you can answer first, and then Nicole if you'd like, or and then we can switch for the next one. But what's next for the Department of Sanitation? What's next for Lower East Side Ecology in terms of electronics waste in the future? What's the direction that they're heading in? And will there be any substantial changes to your program, Diana?
I guess we're just trying to grow as much as we can, right? We are enrolling new buildings in our e-cycle program pretty much every day. We're trying to provide the service for as many people as we can in as many buildings as we can. New York City is a very dense city. The majority of buildings are larger, and and we need to provide the service for everyone. This is my personal opinion, not backed up by any data. But honestly, I don't really anticipate any reduction in electronics use in the future. I only think it will grow. So we'll need to give people an opportunity to recycle electronics as much as possible and provide them with these programs.
Understood. Nicole, do you have anything else to add? What's next for the Lower East Side Ecology Center? I know that you spoke about looking to procure a new e-waste warehouse.
Yes, we are. Currently, we don't have our warehouse that we normally would produce more than 100,000 pounds a year. With the pop-up events, we're only doing a little over 500,000 pounds a year, which is more than, a big drop for us. So once we're able to acquire a new warehouse, we can continue our programs and educating New Yorkers to, reuse and repurpose before you recycle, and continue on our programs.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, the Lower East Side Ecology Center had a massive prop library e-waste warehouse that I used to go and drop off e-waste at, and it was truly an incredible facility. So really looking forward to us being able to participate in that again, and hopefully you guys find something soon because it was truly a treasure. I'm gonna pull a question here from the chat. And I think that this was designated to Diana. The question is from Isabel. The timing and location of the e-waste drop-off sites may be challenging for some businesses or individuals. What has been your past experience with collectives such as PNYA that have successfully organized e-waste drop-off campaigns? So maybe this is actually a question for either of you. I guess maybe towards the concept of like a non-for-profit organizing their own e-waste drop-off campaign. Is that something that either of you have been involved in? Diana?
You mean a drop-off like location? A drop-off campaign sounds a little confusing to me. You mean like event or location?
You want me to clarify?
Please.
Yes, please. Thank you, Isabel.
Hey, thank you so much, Diana. It's such a pleasure to have you. And thank you, Nicole, also. It's great to have you both. What I mean is that the locations sometimes are far from maybe an individual's house or where they're going to work. And gosh, wouldn't it be great if we could really just go ahead and get the electronics into the right hands so that we're not toxifying our nearby land? How can we make that easier for people? And know what does it look like in the past when it's been successful?
I say, well, several options for you. I agree. Our locations might not be easy to get for everyone. Unfortunately, this is just the reality of living in New York City. Space is at limit. I just recommend signing up for eCycle NYC. If you are signed up for that program, then we come and pick it up from you. You don't have to drop it off anywhere, maybe in your building somewhere.
Yeah.
If you live in a building of over 10 units, this is the best option for you because you honestly just have to. The only thing that we require is you have space in your building to store a minimum amount of electronics until we come and pick it up, which is 20 electronic items. And it can be 20, anything from that list. It could be 20 keyboards or 20 mice. So size doesn't matter as long as it's 20. And as soon as you have it, we come and we get it from you. So you don't really need to drive it anywhere. But
that's ecycle.nyc, is that right?
It's eCycle NYC. No dots. It's through the Department of Sanitation. So if you go on our website and you look how to get rid of electronics, you can find it there.
That's perfect. Thank you.
You can
so
also
much.
go 311 if that's easier, or go on 311 website and say you want to get rid of electronics. But the program is free, and we'll come and pick it up from you.
That makes it easy. Thanks.
Thank you
It's
so
the
much.
easiest that can happen, honestly. I can't anticipate it making it any easier. Then we'll come to your house and we'll get it from you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and thank you so much, Isabel, for your question. I know personally that I find that the people in my building leave electronics outside all the time, and I think that they've accrued almost the correct amount of items for them to be picked up at this point. So really looking forward to making that call and
Please do.
having you guys come and pick some stuff up. This question is actually for Nicole, I think, in regards to the hard drives being wiped, from Rebecca. If hard drives are dropped off for recycling accidentally before they've been wiped of data, is there a way for them to be wiped after drop off?
So the program provided when hard drives are dropped off, even if they're in the computer, third-party recycler actually grinds them down. So there's a big, think of it as a big blender, and all the hard drives are thrown in there and grind it all together, and then it's melted down, and that metal is reused. If a hard drive is actually going to be reused, it is actually sanitized using DoD Standard 7, which will delete your information and sanitize the drive so it can be reused. Does that answer your question?
Fantastic. I think Rebecca's saying yes. Lovely. Thank you so much, Nicole. I had a question for both of you, whoever has the answer for it, because you both spoke about it. R2 certified and e-stewards. I don't know if that's something of common knowledge. I'm not familiar with either of those two terms. If either of you would like to chime in about that.
R2 is just the standard of global certification standard for the electronics recycling. And it was created with the guidance of EPA. If that answers the question.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, it's just something that I'm unfamiliar with. So that's a standard that that you hold, that ERI and other recycling partners hold each other to, as to make sure that they're disposing of things properly.
Yeah, if you go on EPA website, they have details about what it is and what they're looking for. So if you are more if you want to know more details, you can just go on the EPA website and look at it.
Okay, thank you so much. And Kim, I think you have a question. You have your hand raised.
I do. I went for both people. Diana, my question for you is what percentage of e-waste still ends up in the landfill? Like how much is actually being captured and properly recycled?
So that's the percentage that you saw in waste study, 0.3%.
Is still making it to landfill, or is actually being pulled out?
We do not pull anything out of black bags.
Okay. So do you
once it's in the black bag, it's in the landfill?
Yeah. So do you think that's only 3% that's in the black bags, or like
0.3, not even 3, it's 0.3, 0.3%. So that waste characterization study you saw, it's pretty much a black bag. What's in it, and a standard, regular black bag that you'll just pull out in a regular apartment building in New York City, and you open it up and see what's in it, right?
That's pretty low. That's a lot lower than I thought it would be. Like
it is. But again, it is e-waste considered by our standards, right? By that list. You guys and a regular consumer, average consumer, would probably think of electronics as a wider range than what we consider electronics, right? If we don't like things like microwaves, let's say if they end up in recycling, that your average consumer would consider electronics, we consider it recycling, right? So it's not. I think there's a little category kind of, just think of those items that I showed you before. Out of those items, 0.3% end up in a landfill. But that study is old, right? That study from 2017. I hope that most of it actually did not. Maybe we got better. We have more buildings that are signed up for eCycle. We have lines going into our safe events, so hopefully people are recycling more, and not just through our programs, right? There are other programs, manufacturers and brands take their items back. Maybe they even I don't know, hopefully they even pay them something. I'm not sure, but you can reuse your electronics in other ways.
And I'm assuming New York is probably way ahead of the game compared to the rest of the country.
I actually don't know the whole country stats, so I wouldn't say either way. But yeah, I know what we do, what other states do, and if they have bans in place, because again, you have to look at it holistically, right? Even if we in New York City, we have all these different programs and we have great places like LES and, you know, other places that will take your electronics back. Other states might have different programs in place. They might have take back programs that are very developed, or, you know, I cannot speak for other states at all.
And if, because it is a ban, if they do catch you throwing a computer away, they just happen to open that one black bag that's yours, what's the repercussions? Is it a fine or
You get a ticket.
ticket? And are those
Yeah,
pretty
it's a
pricey or?
ticketable effect. Tickets, I mean, your building will get it, right? It depends on your building again. Sometimes your building will get a ticket. They do not know who in the building threw your TV out.
Yeah.
So it could be added to your maintenance. Your super could, you know, be forced to pay it. Whatever structure your building has, but the tickets are not, you know, usually are deterrent for some buildings and are not as much as deterrent for others. We
Yeah.
hope that people just do the right thing because they want to do the right thing and not because they're going to get a ticket.
Yeah. And then my question for Nicole is kind of a fun one. Are there art shows after the people have come in and created art that we could go to at some point?
Yes, there is an art show. It's actually an artist in residence program. So at the end of their program, they actually present, and we bring back some of the former artists to actually showcase their works and, you know, talk about what they've been up to and what's new they've invented. It's a whole weekend. It normally falls around, I think it's Open New York, NYC, where, you know, they go to different residents go to different warehouses and businesses to see their artistic works and stuff like that. So it's all a part of that weekend that it's showcased.
Great.
That sounds awesome. Definitely
Yeah,
going to check that out.
that sounds incredible. I definitely want to check that out as well. So I guess there's one other question here in the chat from Carl saying, what is the best way for me to dispose of my old Mac Pro editing computer? I think from what I've grasped from the two of you is that it would be something that would be accepted from the Department of Sanitation if you recycled it from home, and that Nicole also, you would be something that would be able to be disposed of at a Lower East Side Ecology pop-up event. Am I correct on that?
Yes, that is correct.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And does it work? If it works, maybe you can give it to somebody. I'm always for reuse. If you can reuse it first before you try to recycle it.
Yes, that actually brings me to to a good point, which was that I'm really excited to hear about the Donate NYC portion of the website. I know for me personally, I had gotten a new television, and the television that I had still worked, and it was very difficult for me to find somebody to take it off my hands. At one point in time, I ended up actually just putting it out on the front outside my apartment and sitting out there until somebody walked by asking me if it worked. For me to tell them, yes, it does work. Please take it, because I wanted to go to somebody. You know, I didn't want it to get ruined outside. So fantastic to know that there is an ability to donate electronics to somebody else in need, because really, when I think of electronics recycling in that way, I think of sustainability, reusing something until its end of life, as opposed to giving it a shorter lifespan. And that's really amazing, because I think that, you know, with how much waste we are creating on a daily basis and how much new technology is coming into the world, it's really important for us to focus on how long we can extend the life of something, if it means giving it to somebody else or using in a school or in a low income area. So that's fantastic. Let's see here. I think that
good thing you stayed by your TV, Craig, because you would have gotten a ticket. If you just left it out on your sidewalk.
I was not just going to leave it out there. No, I wouldn't have done that. But I guess that brings me to kind of my last question here, which is, what can people do to help? You know, I know that for for electronics at home, it seems like the best thing that we can do is collect them, keep them in a place that's safe inside until they're ready for pickup. And if it's something that we have at work, is keep them all together and then bring them to a proper drop-off point. But I'm curious from both of you, if there's anything that stands out to you, of how an individual can get more involved and how they can help push the agenda of electronics recycling, to help preserve the environment and the safety of everybody.
Nicole, do you have any ideas? I kind of have to think about it.
So there's a lot of ways to get involved. First thing is talk to your local council members. Once you get them involved, then they can have events where a lot of our events are sponsored by the council members. So you can have a pop-up event in your neighborhood where where you don't have the ability to drop it off anywhere. But if you have a pop-up event, then you're able to recycle there. So I think starting out, talking to your council members is a good start to, spreading the word and letting them know, hey, I want something done about this issue.
Yeah, local representatives are usually the way to go if you want any sort of events, programs, expansion of the programs. Yeah, but as an individual, I would just say try to reuse as much as you can, because it's always reduce, reuse, recycle, right? Recycle is the last option. It is the reason why we say it in that order, particularly if you buy less stuff and then you reuse the stuff that you have, then you won't have to recycle. There are options for you guys to recycle. Obviously, there are different ways. There's places to drop off. There are pop-up events. There's all these different ways for you to recycle. But if you can reuse it, that would be better for environmental, because it's already been made. You don't have to do anything to it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I love that you reiterated that. And Nicole, I really appreciate your insight in that as well, because it just gets me thinking, like, for somebody like myself who's very grassroots and just kind of trying to create things out of nothing, like, it just makes so much sense to just, go straight to the people that can make the changes, go to the council people, try to organize something. And then Diana, like you said, it's just about, using less and trying to utilize the stuff that we already have. I mean, there is just so much already that we have in front of us. It's just so lovely to see how passionate you both are about this, and I really appreciate you both coming out here. I'm going to see if anybody else has any last questions here. If anybody has anything else, feel free to raise your hand. Rebecca, go ahead.
Hi, thank you guys so much. This information is incredible, and I'm a sort of big dork about information exchange and civic engagement, civic responsibility. I also happen to be in advertising, and I'm wondering if there's any sort of like get out the information campaign. Like my small building does have a little recycle thing in the basement, but I feel like, there's so much info that people need. And is there any sort of cross agency, like Department of Sanitation and the, like the MTA, like doing some advertising about like, hey, there's an annual drive, or, if you need information on electronic recycling, because, I'd much rather see that in the subway information than advertise and like my advertising. But just wondering if there's any big ways to just get out info to more people in the city. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, let's cover subway with sanitation and public service announcements. That would be great. But as far as I know, so we have a communications bureau and communications department within our bureau. So they put out whatever they can. We use social media, and we do mailers for safe events, things like that. I think one of our biggest tool is actually our website. When people Google what to do or try to just see what to do, and you just go straight into this is what you do if you have extra electronics. They call 311, another resource. But as for any sort of partnerships with advertising or any sort of, campaigns, I really can't say because it's not, I don't know.
Thank you so much, Diana. And Nicole, is there a way besides the Lower East Side Ecology website that people can get information about pop-up events, or is that where they should be going to look for that?
You can go to the main website. We also have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram that we post on. Also, your council members who promote the events or the local churches sometimes will promote events and they would advertise on their pages. And a lot of times it's just word of mouth.
Yeah. Once you've been to a safe event, you won't forget it. You'll just know. Right,
Yeah,
on one of the pop-ups.
I think that I'll be trying to stop by this June 5th safe event. I'm excited to check that out. And I will say that the Lower East Side Ecology Center does have a great e-waste calendar on their website that I've been on to see when there are some drop-off events on a monthly basis. So if there aren't any other questions here, I'm going to close out by just saying thank you both so much for coming. This is something we've wanted to do for a really long time. We're trying to remove the barriers and educate people more about electronics recycling. I know that the Post New York Alliance, we're trying to organize a collection event for electronics recycling with some other studios, hopefully get all of the stuff together and then be able to bring it to a drop-off site. So there's more to come on that. Kim and I just really, again, wanted to thank both of you for coming out and taking the time to speak to everybody because it really means so much. And we just see how passionate you both are about this. Just to say something about the Post New York Alliance, we do have a couple other sustainability events that we have queued up, and we do monthly cleanups in the parks in New York City. So we will have another cleanup coming up. Kim, I don't know exactly what the date of that one is.
It is going to be June 11th, Saturday, June 11th at 11 a.m. And the location will be sent out shortly.
Yes. So feel free to come out and pick up some trash with us in your local park. And yeah, there's future events on the Post New York Alliance website under the sustainability tab. Once again, thank you all for coming out. I really, really appreciate it. And I hope you all have a lovely long weekend.